And today we had our time trial for the refugees. Actually, a good test. We have been training for some time, but we would like to see Amapi World Athletics and the Olympic team are here today to support the refugees. It's a good initiative actually for our athletes and for the refugees because they feel being accepted in the society. So I'm so grateful whoever came today, the support we are getting, and the program for education also we have been working with, AIN program. So we have sports and education which we support, and that's where what I do. We are here today to select also the team to Dakar 2026 Youth Olympics, and after Paris we know there will be also an Olympic 2028, and we are here to identify the talents. So we are scouting and to be able to support them and to train them, focusing on Dakar 2026 and the coming Olympics after Paris. Working with the young athletes, especially from the refugee team, it's quite, sometimes it's emotional because of what they have gone through in their lives. Some actually, they have never met their families since maybe 2013, 2017. And once they get time to connect with their families, through even calling them, I've seen one boy being so emotional the whole day. And I'm there to guide them, to counsel them, and to accept a life and to better their future, even if they have come through hard time. So it's a nice program actually. I enjoy it, and I would like to do my best.
Our trip to Kenya, there were really two goals, main ones. The first was the visit to Kakuma that we did over the last 3 days, when we were there seeing some of the programs that Olympic Refuge Foundation are running, particularly Play to Protect, and see how it was being implemented, as well as the Sports for Complex that we've been building over the last few years. And this part of the trip, we were really impressed by the level of refugee athletes that were there practicing sport, not only athletics, but basketball, football, volleyball. And we are very pleased to see all of the NGOs as well as UNHCR working together to ensure that these athletes also have proper education, that they also have preparation for further education into jobs then that could provide them and their families livelihoods. So it was a very positive trip to Kakuma, and we arrived here yesterday to Eldoret, and today we are witnessing here the talent ID for the World Athletics Under 20 camp that is training here in Kapsabat, and also taking this opportunity to visit the refugee athlete scholarship holders that we've been supporting here, for some of them already for 6 years. And all of them have been supported through the National Olympic Committee of Kenya, who has been really supportive since the beginning of the program in 2022, when they started supporting the athletes. This was very difficult for us because we, of course, we see in the movie, for example, We Dare to Dream, we see the moment where we announce positive news for athletes who make the refugee Olympic team, those positive news that are announced officially by the president of the IOC, Thomas Bach. But also there are some more difficult news to give, which is when athletes aren't selected for the team. And we've seen it in the We Dare to Dream movie, how sometimes it was very difficult for athletes who trained for many years, hoping to be selected for the refugee Olympic team, and in the end not making it. We always told them that this wasn't the end for them, because the Refugee Athlete Support Program is a long-term program. IOC and the Olympic Refuge Foundation will continue this program towards Los Angeles 2028. It will continue in the future. The goal, of course, would be that this program wouldn't need to exist, that there wouldn't be refugees, but unfortunately we see number of refugees is still growing around the world, and so we know that we need to reinforce it. We need to keep improving the level of refugee athletes, to be able to demonstrate to the world, as they've done already in 2 Olympic Games, that if you give them the opportunity, they can be as competitive as any other athletes. And we've seen in Tokyo, narrowly missed a medal with one of the athletes, and we believe in Paris we'll have again good possibilities to actually medal. And that would be the first Olympic medal for refugee athletes and a member of the refugee Olympic team. So we are really working towards that. And we're seeing it here, and we're seeing it also during this Talent ID. Refugee athletes based here in Kenya are getting better and better. Thanks to the opportunities that the National Olympic Committee is providing, thanks to the opportunities also that World Athletics is providing here. We have a representative here from World Athletics, Alisani Bali, with whom we've been working very closely over the last few years. These athletes are going to World Championships, they're going to Continental Championships. They're really now being integrated in the sports movement, not only through the Refugee Olympic team, but now they're having regular opportunities to go to competitions at every single level. And that is part of our work, to ensure that Olympic Games is not the only possibility for refugee athletes to show their talents and to shine, but also that through the international federations there are creations of refugee teams, and that all refugee athletes, ultimately the goal is that all of them can compete in every single competition. Very important because it shows really the reality of these athletes. You know, they're following the athletes themselves. It's not, it is not a movie that is made with actors. Those are the real refugee athletes. Those are the real refugee athletes that are making to the games, that we're going, through their personal stories and through the difficulties that they have to go through in order to make this refugee Olympic team, in order to be refugee scholarship holders already. They demonstrate their resilience, that given the difficulties that they've gone through, they still put the sport at the center of their lives, because they want to follow their dream. The dream for them is to be able to compete at the Olympic Games. And so I think it's very powerful, and it's very inspiring. We've seen it, we've shown the movie now yesterday or 2 days ago in Kakuma, and we could see how the population there, friends and family of Angelina, who is one of the athletes who is featured, who is here today, were so proud of her and really being seen as a role model. I think the Refugee Olympic team, at the end of the day, it was 10 athletes in Rio, it was 29 in Tokyo, but they're really inspiring millions of refugees. There's now 114 million refugees around the world. This number unfortunately keeps increasing, and through this team I think we can and they can basically show and give hope to millions of refugee athletes of what they can do, and millions of the other people who are not refugees, that if you give the chance to refugees, they can really succeed in anything. This is sport. We've seen in Kakuma as well, in education they had really great stories. We visited the school where we saw that the best student was a refugee, among the host communities. So I think that this is the ultimate goal, really, is to promote the integration of refugees among their host communities, showing that they're an enrichment to society, they bring value to society, and We Dare to Dream, I think, is going to be able to reinforce that message. Also, seeing everyone who is partnering with the movie, BAFTA winners, Oscar winners, very famous actors, very famous singers that are really taking this movie, becoming executive producers, directors. So we're really looking forward to it being released, so more people can see it. Now it's going through festivals around the world, but we believe really when it's going to be released globally, it will have a huge effect, such as the swimmers documentary about one of our refugee athletes, Yusra Mardini, also had a significant effect. So we believe that this one is a next step in terms of the advocacy through movies for refugees.
Okay, so we've been here in Kenya for the last 4 or 5 days or so. We've been visiting Kakuma refugee camp and the Kalobe integrated settlement with the team from the Olympic Refuge Foundation, together with our partners UNHCR, UNFPA, of course the National Olympic Committee of Kenya was involved as well. And we've been able to visit the project that is currently being delivered and supported by the Olympic Refuge Foundation, called Play to Protect, which essentially improves access to sport for young refugees and host community members in the refugee camp. And we've been able to talk to young participants, to their parents, to coaches, to the various people who are involved in this program. And I think we've been very impressed by the amazing appetite that exists for sport and the amazing talent that exists in the refugee camp. And we're here to stimulate that talent and that appetite and ensure that sport is available to all. Because sport, we know, is good for the mind and body, but it's also good for bringing people together, for bringing together the refugees in the host community, and also to give people the confidence to build their futures and to thrive and find belonging. So we had an amazing opportunity to interact with the youth working groups from various international organizations and local organizations. They told us about all the amazing work they are doing with youth in the refugee camp in Kakuma. And they also talked about the hurdles they face, the barriers they face to make sure that sport is even more available and more accessible to all young refugees, in particular for young girls who are often at risk of early marriage and other barriers that they face to practice sport. So we were able to interact with them, to find a common ground and to exchange some ideas how we can work together to make sure that sport is available and accessible to all young refugees in the camp. Yeah, so we're very proud of having co-funded the construction of a sport complex in Kalobe refugee settlement together with UNHCR. We were able to visit that sport complex, practice some sport, talk to the young people. The NOC of Kenya president and our board member Paul Tergat was there, which was a very proud moment for us, and we saw that the amazing opportunity the sport complex provides to all young people in the refugee camp and the settlement to come and play sport. Our plans are to make sure that sport remains on the agenda. We know that now there is a Shirika plan, which basically means that the management of the refugee camp and the refugee settlement will transition from sort of a camp-based approach to an integration approach, and the responsibilities for managing the camp facilities will be handed over to the local government, and we want to make sure that we support this effort, and we want to make sure that sport remains high on the agenda in the Shirika plan. So we will be working together with authorities, with the National Olympic Committee of Kenya and other national authorities, and with UNHCR, of course, to make sure that Olympic Refugee Foundation can contribute to this very important effort.